Hello and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. My name is Randy Rosenblum. I'm your host tonight. We have a great show for you, I think. We have some really good guests. Sina Aghassy, the head volleyball coach at Chatsworth High School. They won the Open Division City title last year, and they're ranked number one currently this season. A little later in the program, we'll have Arlis Boardingham, great football player at Birmingham, helped him win a couple city titles in his career, who recently has committed to the University of Florida. He's a tight end, played on defense as well. Terrific all-around performer, and we'll talk to Arlis in a little while. My co-hosts tonight, we have Tariq Fatal from the Daily News and Tony Moskal, who's a terrific sportscaster and is also a coach in the Santa Clarita Valley, so he's got it all covered for you. So let's bring in first Tariq Fatal, who's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, covering the Bruins, who played them all night against North Carolina. I know he's a UCLA guy now. He's seen the Bruins throughout the NCAA tournament. Tark, good to see you again.
Nothing like a Philly cheesesteak to get the show started.
Have you gone to the Liberty Bell? Have you run the Rocky Steps?
No, I haven't done that yet. I think tomorrow I'll be able to do that, maybe before UCLA tips off.
That's awesome. And what's your biggest takeaway this week in prep sports?
It's got to be Crespi baseball. It just has to be. The Mission League is so tough with Harvard-Westlake and Notre Dame and Chaminade, and Alamany's even tough. Loyola's not an easy out, St. Francis. But Crespi took a game off Notre Dame and took a game off Harvard-Westlake. And that's really, really, really big-time stuff. If you're going to take games off anybody in the league and you take them off those two, I will say the common denominator is Isaiah Magdaleno. He has pitched in both those victories. Crespi, big takeaway this week in prep sports.
My other co-host, Tony Moskal, Mr. Personality. What's your big take this week in prep sports?
Well, Tarek and I talk golf every once in a while, and we were talking earlier about the Foothill League golf. Valencia wins the first Foothill League match. So it was not West Ranch, and it was not the favorite Hart, but Hart's number one was not playing yesterday. He was sick. So I'll just throw that out, but I'd like to thank Tarek for throwing a shout out to my alma mater, the mighty Crespi Celts.
Yeah, we got to talk about every team in the San Fernando Valley, it seems, because they're gifted in all different sports this year. Let's talk a little volleyball. We're going to see the top 8 teams in the Open Division currently in the LA City section. Chatsworth is ranked number 1. Palisades is ranked number 2. And as we look at the poll, Chatsworth is the defending city champion. Palisades, number 2, a historically potent team, followed by Eagle Rock and others. There's 4 teams from the West Valley, which houses Chatsworth and Coach Sina Aghassy. Let's bring the coach on. Coach, good evening and welcome to SoCal Prep Report.
Can you guys hear me?
We hear you loud and clear,
Randy.
and we're on the air. Sina, welcome to the show. A thumbs up from all of us. All right, you're number 1. You're the defending city champions in the Open Division. Why are you so good suddenly in volleyball at Chatsworth?
Well, I think it's been a culmination of a couple years, right, between COVID and, a great group of freshmen and sophomores we had before, COVID kind of put a pause on so much. A lot of returners, seniors, guys like CJ Blankenship and Ben Harper that are coming back, and, some additions that maybe didn't play last year, and guys that are just hungry to get back after it. So really exciting group. And I think, the past year or so has really just put things in perspective for some of our guys, and they're just hungry and fired up to just kind of make sure that this season goes the way that they want it to go.
I know CJ Blankenship was the hero for you last year in the city championship match, and when you beat Taft, he had 15 kills. Is he the best player in the section?
Well, I think there's a lot of great players in the city, but, for me, CJ Blankenship's got a special place in my heart. I mean, he's, did phenomenal things as a junior, and, he could have easily said, hey, it's my senior year. I'm pretty satisfied with the championship, but he came back pretty hungry this past off season, and, he's looking in real good shape right now. And, there's other guys like Gus Wibblesman from Palisades and, Cooper Ramirez from Eagle Rock that are playing great volleyball as well. But I like our chances with CJ Blankenship on our side.
All right, let's open it up. We got some questions. We'll start with Tark, and then we'll go to Tony. Tark, a question for the head coach of Chatsworth High School.
Sina, you guys are coming off a championship. Is there something there when you're coaching your team, you have to be ready for the opponent's best shot every time because you are the defending champs? Can you talk about maybe that mental edge? You have the mystique of a defending champion, so you got a big target on your back.
No, 100%. It's uncharted territory for us. I mean, I know we've had some success probably on the boys' side in 2016, but naturally for me as a coach, I've always been that guy that wants to take down the top dog. And now the roles are flipped, right? So it's kind of uncharted territory for us. The guys are learning very quickly. We're getting every team's best shot at a tournament, at league, in the city. And the guys have responded very, very well so far. But it's been a learning curve because, for example, last year, with COVID, we weren't able to do the things we normally do, go to Vegas, go down to Redondo, or go down to San Diego to play some of the top teams in the state. And so we're just super honored and, privileged to be able to travel a little bit more, play in those tournaments. And it was a humbling last year to go down to Santa Barbara for a state playoff game when you couldn't play outside of your section. And to be able to play the top teams in the state, but never be challenged within the year. So that's something we're definitely embracing this year. And our guys have done a great job, with our leadership to do so.
Tony, you have a question for the coach?
Yeah, Coach. The sport of volleyball, you go back 20 years and only a few teams were playing. It wasn't as popular as it is now. What do you attribute the rise to the popularity of this sport to, both on the men's and the women's side?
Yeah, it's one of the fastest growing sports. I read on high school participation a lot, and obviously movement in football and other sports. And, it's not a first, people don't in 5th, 6th grade think about boys volleyball. But as players get older and they get into their freshman year or sophomore year of high school, they end up being really interested in the whole sport. And I think that's caused a big boom.
Do you get a lot of
All right, Tony, you have another question?
Yeah, do you get a lot of the dual sport kids, like maybe some basketball kids coming out because of their leaping ability and their coordination?
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I'm just dealing with a lot in the background here. But no, yeah, basketball kids, they're in the gym. They see how, and boys volleyball is so different than girls volleyball. It's powerful. It's a lot of athletic ability, and boys are looking at it. They're seeing it in the gym, and whether they play football and maybe want to try another sport in the off season. I think that's definitely attributed to a lot of participation in the sport.
Sina, I like your movement out on the court there. That's really good stuff at Chatsworth. You're 25-5. You play in the best league in the LA City section. You have 4 of the top Open Division ranked teams in your league, including yourself. Why is the West Valley so strong in boys volleyball this year?
Well, I don't think it's just boys volleyball. I think you see it consistently in all sports, boys basketball, baseball, the West Valley's well represented. I think it's a credit to the coaches in the league, within the sports, in the city section, you see a lot of high turnover. And I think the West Valley League's done a really good job of retaining their coaches and, building up programs for 10, 20 years at a time rather than a couple years. And, in our league, led by Armin Mercado, Tom Harp, guys that have been there, as long as I've been around playing even, Jeff Laidlaw, Leanne Bennett-Riley, Alyssa Lee. It's a strong league because of the coaching continuity. And then when you got the special athletes that you can coach up and, to go up against, teams on the other side like Palisades and Eagle Rock, it usually bodes really well to kind of go through this gauntlet in league. I've joked around with my teams that there's years that we've won city championships, but we haven't gone undefeated in league just because you have to be on top of your game, from game 0 to 10. And, one of the, goals we have is trying to go undefeated in league. And sometimes that might even be harder than the city championship. You've seen it in baseball, teams going 4-6 and winning the Open Division Championship or Division I championship later down the road. So I think that bodes well for our league. And, credit to our coaches that, do a great job preparing our teams as we go throughout the year.
All right, one last coaching question we'll start with Tark, and then one for Tony, and then we'll let the coach go. Tark?
I think the last one for me, Sina, is, as serious as it is, right? You're winning championships, you're winning games, you've got goals. How important is it to just kind of infuse fun into the mix? And is there something you guys are doing off the court? Because like you mentioned last year, there was so little you could do with COVID. Now you can do some team bonding things, go bowling, whatever you guys may do. Can you give us examples of what you do to kind of inject some fun into the team?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think that's the thing that I missed the most, between COVID, when we just got to play games, just long road trips, going down to Oxnard in the off season, going down to Redondo early on in the year, getting a team meal, just things that we took so much for granted during COVID, where we were so limited in what we could do socially with the kids. And, even with masks, just not even being able to see each other's facial gestures. So we've done our fair share, especially with our seniors, getting a team meal every opportunity we can, making sure that we can, go one night, go bowling, and making those really, really count and making the most of it, because these kids have had perspective on what it's like for that to be taken away. But definitely something that we're thankful for, and we're hoping that that's going to help drive, our team chemistry. And, it's challenging when you're trying to be one of the top teams in the city. It's so, even that sometimes you got to step just, the of your team and, the culture and the community that's going on around, the sport.
Tony?
Coach, when you talk about teams that win championships, they say it's so difficult to win another one. How did you prepare this team mentally to prepare to come into this season as defending champions? Did you do anything different or anything special?
Well, you got to come in with a different demeanor. You got to come in with different expectations. Last year we didn't really know what to expect. We started out in the grass, moved indoors. We knew we had talent, but for this year to have a full off season, right, and preparing in the way that you wanted to prepare your preseason schedule and all that, and really just giving your leadership that ownership of, hey, this is what we want to achieve. Take the keys and let's go, right? And I think preparing them with the tough off-season schedule, going down to Redondo, like I said, seeing those teams, like a Newport Harbor, Servite, or those guys down by the beach early on, definitely is challenging. And we got a chance to play Palisades. We know they're playing great volleyball. Carlos Gray always does a great job over there of preparing his guys, and like Gus Wibbelsman and all them down there. And just making sure that, we have that preparation and the expectations are set in stone, and, the leaders are kind of carrying that tone throughout the year.
Well, Sina, I know you have a great team. You're undefeated against LA City section competition, 25-5 overall. Best of luck in the rest of the West Valley League season and in your quest to win a second consecutive Open Division championship.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me, Tarek, Randy, everybody. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Sina Aghassy,
Go Chancellor.
Building a legacy in Chatsworth with the Chancellors. Their boys volleyball program is good. The girls program is good too, but the boys are really turning it on right now. Hey guys, you ready to talk a little football? We're going to get to Arlis Boardingham here in a second. But Tarek, I want a quick comment. Your thoughts on how good is Arlis Boardingham, the football player?
Running back, tight end, wide receiver. He kicked and punted this year. So, I mean, when you're doing all that, you got to be pretty good. He's a two-time city champ. He's a specimen physically. I mean, he's got to be probably around 6'5", 235. We'll check in on that. Maybe he's a little lighter right now because of track, but really talented athlete, really fun to watch. And when you talk to a prep reporter like myself, I like to bring up athletes like Arlis Boardingham, someone that started out of school since a freshman year and has finished through his senior year and shown people that you don't have to transfer. You can stick to the school, you can be loyal, and you can win. That's Arlis Boardingham in a nutshell.
You don't leave a little much on the stick there for Mr. Tony to give a capsule review on Arlis Boardingham as we look to Tony Moskell's thoughts on that great wide receiver and defensive performer. I don't know what else you can add to what Tarek has stated.
Well, I think, Randy, when you look at total football players, are they more than one-dimensional? Can they play another position? And although I cover a lot of the southern section, I don't get to see Birmingham, but I read about them in the paper, the fantastic job Tarek does covering the top city section schools, and reading about him and then looking at where he's being recruited and where he committed to, man, that's the SEC. That is the conference. That is the best conference in the country until, somebody dethrones them and he's going to play the best football in the country. So, the young man is special.
Well, let's bring him. He is going to the University of Florida. He's got the gator wear on. He's got the glasses. We got Tony doing the chop there for you. All right, Arlis, you committed in early February to be a Gator. You're a Southern California guy. You've had great success in the San Fernando Valley. Why not SC and UCLA? Why Florida? I know it came down to Florida and Oregon.
Well, first and foremost, USC and UCLA didn't really make the push to recruit me. They did. USC did offer me, but after Lincoln Riley came, I didn't really hear much from them at all. USC is a great school, but they weren't interested in me. And UCLA already had 2 tight ends on the board, and they just felt like we didn't see eye to eye. I didn't want to play defense at that point, and they wanted me to, so we just went our separate ways. And at that time, Florida was speaking to me, and I felt like they did a fantastic job in recruiting me. Coach Napier let me know that he doesn't come this far for kids all the time, and he came over here for a reason. And just hearing that from him just sparked something in me to have some real interest in Florida.
Tarek just gave a great summation of your talent. So, Tarek, a question for this young, talented, bright receiver out of Birmingham on his way to Florida.
I think if Arlis played one position, if he only played wide receiver, he would have like all kinds of crazy records. And Arlis, maybe you'd agree with me, and that's what I want to ask you. It's kind of a 2-part question. One is, you think if you played one position only and just honed in on that, your recruitment might be different? And do you feel like you might have been able to break more records? You were playing so many different positions, you were kind of spread thin, but you needed to do it to help your team.
Well, I feel like me playing one position would have been great, but then again, like you said, it was for the benefit of my team. But I think if I played one position, I would definitely break records, and recruitment would have gone a bit differently because majority of the schools that I was recruited to was for tight end, but there were also a lot of schools that wanted me for middle linebacker, defensive end, outside linebacker. So I felt like if I would have just stuck to one position, the recruitment might have been a bit different for me.
Tony?
Arlis, I do a lot of high school football, and, we all read the paper. This kid transfers here. This kid goes there. You see the merry-go-round of guys leaving one school, going to another. And I think it's admirable that you started at Birmingham and you finished all of your entire career there, and it's paid off. Did private schools come after you? And what enticed you to stay at Birmingham?
Well, in all honesty, private schools have been coming after me since I was in 8th grade, and they didn't stop going into high school. 9th grade, my 10th grade, my sophomore year, my junior and senior year, I've all had private schools telling me that I wasn't going to succeed where I was at, or I'm just not going to get what I have now being at the school I'm with. I stuck with Birmingham because I have something to prove. I wanted to prove that you could make it out of a city school. You don't have to go to a private school or have to transfer. Also showing that just resiliency and that toughness to coaches that even through adversity, even through tough times, that I'm still going to stick with my team, and I'm going to try to make it so we succeed as much as possible.
Arlis, you're an articulate guy. It's great to see. It's terrific, as Tony alluded to, that you're able to stay with the one school. But you're not just a one sport athlete either. I know you're into track and field. Your dad's a track and field coach at Birmingham. Talk about long jumping and triple jumping. You have a shot in both of them to win a city championship this year. But what it means to you, you're not just a football guy, are you?
No, I'm not. I actually was a track guy before I was a football guy. I ran track way before I started playing football at all, and fell in love with the sport very early. This year, I feel like going to city, to me, honestly, won't be enough. My freshman year, I ended up getting third and second in long and triple, or fourth and second, and not making it in long jump to state. But going to state and just seeing the level of competition there really just wanted me to go back and compete even more. So I feel like city is just a stepping stone, and state and placing in state is my ultimate goal this year.
One more question first for Tark, then Tony.
This one's a lot more simple than my first question. What are you most excited about when you go to Florida? Are you excited about just getting on the college campus? Are you excited to actually play some football, get the college experience? What is some things that jump out at you that excite you the most when you're going to get on campus?
I would say some of the things will have to be the atmosphere. It's going to be a way different atmosphere, not only playing in college, but playing in the SEC, where you have fans that are loyal and diehard that just want to see you succeed in all aspects. I think that'll be a crazy experience for me. And just the whole college experience is something that I've heard people say that's like none other, and I can't wait to be there.
Arlis, when you look at your dual sport ability, how do those two sports translate and help you in one and the other? Because I'm a big proponent of two sport athletes. I think any coach that discourages that should be fired immediately, because it does a disservice to the kids. But how does each of these sports help you?
I would say track ties into almost every sport you do, no matter what you're going through or what sport you do. Track ties in some way or another. The reason I feel like I have so much success of the schools I got offered to, and the school I'm currently going to attend, is because of the track speed. My size and weight and the way how fast I could run is all due to track. Just knowing that track speed, that turnover, just knowing how to lift my knees and pump my arms, and those workouts tied straight into football and led me to the success that I have now.
Final thought for Arlis. You're leaving Birmingham. How do you want to be remembered as a Patriot, and what is your fondest memory at Birmingham?
I'm gonna start with my fondest moment. I'm gonna say winning that championship my sophomore year. We were heavily doubted going into that, going 1-5 in the season. We weren't really looked at to be people who were winning. We went into the first round playoffs and won. Second round playoffs, we had to force a comeback, and just going to that championship round against Banning and that high intensity game and winning that first championship for our coach Rose was just a great experience all around. And for Birmingham, I just want to let them know that I was the kid who stuck around and who really just earned his spot, that nothing was given to him, and every blessing that came his way was earned through the coaching and the hard work and the workouts after practice and just remaining resilient.
Credit to Birmingham. You're a credit to your parents. They did a wonderful job with you, bringing you up, and best of luck at the University of Florida. Normally I see a lot of kids make a commitment this far in advance and change, but I got a feeling, Arlis, you're going to stay with Florida, and we wish you the best of luck as a Gator.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Arlis Boardingham, formerly of Birmingham, on his way to the University of Florida. I want to get into a couple other things with my co-host now, Tark. Let's discuss a little basketball. Jared Mccain of Corona Centennial, and we had their coach Josh Giles on just last week, has committed to Duke. It was down to Gonzaga, and it was also there was another school in the running as well. Oh, UCLA, a team you cover. So why do you think he went to Duke, and what is your thought about him leaving the area?
Well, I think we're getting into the era where NIL is a huge factor of recruiting, and I'll tell you right now, that's why he went to Duke. I know that there is a large NIL deal for him that's going to make him a lot of money, and that's the new way of recruiting. A lot of programs, football, basketball, maybe even baseball, they have NIL coordinators, people that are in place to set up deals for these athletes so they can market themselves, they can get a deal with the local car dealership, local whatever, local movie theater, or even bigger, even beyond that, branding, the whole kit and caboodle. So Jared McCain, who is someone that has a lot of TikTok followers and a large social media presence, he has a platform already beyond just the basketball and how good he is and the 5-star recruit profile he has. So when you go to Duke, the basketball profile rises by default because it's Duke, but he has more to offer. So they recognize that. And I think that's a large reason why he probably ended up going to Duke. Now, you could argue, well, wouldn't he be able to do that in Los Angeles? I mean, it's like the entertainment capital of the world. Yeah, sure, he could. But, it's hard to turn down Duke. I don't think you can go wrong picking UCLA or Duke or Gonzaga, for example. So I think we knew he was going to be a Dookie, and he's going to play for John Shire.
Yeah, the new coach taking over for Mike Krzyzewski. What's interesting, he does have Jared McCain, 1 million TikTok followers. I know, Tony, you have a thought about that young man at Corona Centennial.
Yeah, I think he's a tremendous talent, and I'm not into. I don't like the NIL stuff. I just think I have an opinion on whether college athletes should be paid. I'm strongly against it. The education at Duke, at UCLA, that speaks for themselves. There's no guarantee any of these kids are going to play in the league, but if you get a degree from a school like that, it's a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision. And I know that times are changing, and I'm the dinosaur of the group, but if that's what this young man wants to do and he's going to capitalize financially on it, then you know what? More power to him. But I would like to see that, we kind of do that academic thing first before we start thinking about money.
You're a T-Rex. You are a dinosaur. Quick comment on Hunter Green, the former great baseball player from Notre Dame, Sherman Oaks. He's with Cincinnati. He threw over 100 miles an hour the other day in a spring training game. He's going to pitch Saturday again. Tark, 30-second answer on how good is Hunter Green?
I don't think I really need more than 30 seconds. He was throwing 100 miles an hour in high school. I saw it with my own 2 eyes, and then I believe he had Tommy John, right, Randy? And here he is back, and I think this is supposed to be his year for the Reds. So we're all just going to wait and see. He's a tremendous athlete, a tremendous kid, and I hope and wish him all the best.
Tony, last thought on Hunter Green. He could really bring it. And by the way, when he was at Notre Dame, he was a terrific shortstop as well.
Yeah, he could hit the ball from here to next Tuesday. But, when you look at guys that can throw 100, the Major League Baseball players love fastballs. And I know the young man works with Jager and does the Jager throwing program. But, do you have that second pitch? Do you have that third pitch? And I believe he does. And that's what's going to probably propel him to tremendous amounts of success with the Reds in his future.
And like Arlis Boardingham, when I interviewed him, when we had him on this program a few years back, I liked his character. I liked he was a yes, sir, no, sir kind of kid. And I just think he has a terrific upside. I just hope he can stay healthy. That's been Hunter Green's negative so far, trying to keep that arm going with the rigors that is baseball when you throw it as hard as he does. Tarek Fatal, have fun in Philly. I know you're going to be there at the Bruin game tomorrow night and see how they do against North Carolina. Got a prediction real quick?
I think I like the Tar Heels. Hopefully I'm wrong.
All right, Tony, you got a prediction on that game.
Yeah, the team with the most points is going to win, Randy. I'm going to go out on a limb.
Ooh, bold.
You know what? I'll go. Tarek, I will bet Tarek a breakfast burrito. I'll take the Bruins.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that in weeks to come. We wish UCLA the best of luck. Tony, enjoy Philadelphia. Tony, enjoy Santa Clarita Valley.
Yeah.
Tarek, enjoy Philadelphia. I'll try to enjoy the San Fernando Valley. We'll come back next Thursday night live right here on LA 36 with another edition of SoCal Prep Report. Good night, everybody.